Here is the question. What is object-oriented programming in TypeScript? In short, what is OOPS? First thing is, object-oriented programming is not limited to TypeScript. This is the most important concept in server-side programming. If you are from C# or Java programming background, then these concepts are going to be very easy for you. Even if you are new to OOPS, then don't worry, I will make it easy for you now. So let's start. We already know TypeScript do not execute on browser. First, it is converted into JavaScript via transcompiler, then it is executed on browser. Now the question is, why we are not directly writing the code in JavaScript? Why we need to write the code in TypeScript first? End of the day, TypeScript is going to convert into JavaScript only, right? So what is the need? The simple answer is because in TypeScript doing object-oriented programming is very easy as comparison to JavaScript. That's why we write code in TypeScript first. And when you have big projects, then object-oriented programming will give you many benefits. Alright, now the original question is, what is OOPS? OOPS is nothing but the combination of these 5 concepts: classes and objects, then encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. Here you can also see the benefits of OOPS. If someone will ask you what are the benefits of OOPS, what are the advantages of OOPS, then you can say encapsulation will give you data security, inheritance will give code reusability, meaning writing some code one time and then use it multiple times. So that is inheritance, code reusability. Then polymorphism gives naming with multiple forms, meaning you can create multiple methods in your class with the same name. That is polymorphism advantage. And abstraction will help in proper structuring of the code by hiding the complex code. So it will give you a structure so that you can write the complex algorithm at one place and you can simply access them from the front side. So that is via the abstraction. If you understand the advantages now, that's very good. If you don't worry. In upcoming questions, we will see how these concepts can be implemented in TypeScript and how we will achieve these advantages from the OOPS or TypeScript. Now, one important thing is, in some way, JavaScript is also able to implement OOPS, right? There is a misconception that JavaScript is not OOPS friendly. It's not like that. JavaScript can also, but it is like very difficult to code as per OOPS concepts in JavaScript. So creating classes, implementing inheritance is very difficult in JavaScript. You can code it, but it's difficult. That's why also we use TypeScript. So that's all about this question. If you have any queries, ask me in the comment section. Here is the question. What are classes and objects in TypeScript? Let's see the example first. Here we have a class person with property name and age. And this class have a function which get the count of the family members of the person. For simplicity, I put it 6. Now this class is just a blueprint, or you can say a logical unit, meaning it cannot do anything on its own. In order to use this class, we have to create the object or instance of this class like this. Remember, object and instance are same things. Now, via this created object, we will assign the name and age first. Then we can also call the function like this. Now we have created a real world entity and we have also used the class. Now we can log this and see the output. For output, first open the terminal, paste this command. Here TSC will convert this classes objects.ts TypeScript file to its JavaScript version, and then this node command will run the created JavaScript file to show the output. Press enter and here you can see the output here. So the final conclusion is classes are blueprint for individual objects and yes, and objects are the instance of the class. Now let me also show you the compiled JavaScript version of this TypeScript. Here you can see how the same class logic is defined in JavaScript here and how the complex and unclear it is. That's why TypeScript is better for object-oriented programming. If you have any queries on this question, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is the question. What is a constructor in Angular? So here inside the component class, we will have the constructor like this. Now here are some important points about constructor. The constructor is a method in a TypeScript class that automatically gets called when the class is being instantiated. So this is one point. Another important point is constructor always run before any Angular hook and it is not a part of lifecycle hooks. This is another very important point. So the thing is now why we need constructor. What is the use of these constructors? So the first and the most widely used is constructor is widely used to inject dependencies or services into the component class. There are other uses, but this is the most important one. In every good Angular project, you will find services, and how we use services, we use it by injecting them inside the components via this constructor only. I have covered services and dependency injection in detail in other questions. Now let me show you quickly how the constructor is the first thing which execute in the component class. Here in the code we will put some log messages inside constructor and some messages inside ng on init lifecycle hook. Now let me run the application. Open terminal, type ng serve and press enter. In the browser, inspect the document, then go to console and see the message printed. First message inside constructor will be executed. And the first message here is from the constructor only, and then the message inside from the ng on init will be printed. So this shows that the constructor is the first thing which will be executed inside the component. This is the answer of this question, and if you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is the question. What are access modifiers in TypeScript? Before moving to encapsulation and other concepts of OOPs, we should know what are the access modifiers in TypeScript. Here are the access modifiers in TypeScript: public, private, and protected. Let's explore them in the code. Here we have a class employee with 3 instance variables: employee ID, name, and age. Now by default in TypeScript, their access modifier is public. What does public means? It means if I will create the instance or object of this class outside like this, then setting all the properties is possible because the access modifier is public and it is accessible everywhere. So we can set any of them here. Now let's make the first variable public to keep it clear. Then what is private then? Let's make the second variable private. Making the variable private means this emp name will not be accessible outside the class now. See the private variable emp name showing compilation error here, because now it's a private variable and it will only be accessible inside the same class, not anywhere outside. Then at last we have this protected access modifier. This is related to inheritance. Let's first make this emp age as protected first. It means this variable will not be accessible publicly. See, here is the error, the compilation error. But yes, this will be accessible inside this class and the derived class. Let's create a derived class which is permanent employee here. And here if I assigned all the variables of employee class, and here you can see the things. It is saying EMP name is private. So here is the error, right? And it is saying EMP name is private, so we cannot use it here. That's fine. We know private can only be accessible inside the same class only. Let's comment this property EMP name. Now it should be fine. We already know this public EMP ID will be available everywhere. And then we have this protected EMP age. This protected will only be available inside the same class or the derived class, and this is the derived class, so it is accessible here also. So that's why this is not giving any error in this derived class. But if we access this property anywhere apart from the base and derived class, then it will not be accessible. So this is the concept of protected. If you are new to inheritance, then no problem. I have already covered a separate question for the inheritance also. And here are the definitions. The public modifier allows class variables, properties, and methods to be accessible from all locations. Remember, as I did for variables, the same is applicable for class methods and properties also. Then the private modifier limits the visibility to the same class only. And at last, the protected modifier allows properties and methods of a class to be accessible within the same class or within the subclass. Subclass, derived class, and child class are same things. That's it. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section and I will be happy to answer them. Here is the question. What is encapsulation in Typescript? This is a very important concept of OOPS. Let's explore this in code. Here you can see we have a class employee with field EMP ID, which is a number, and EMP name. Now we know by default Typescript will assign public access modifier to EMP ID. Now outside this class we will create an object of this class like this, and then we will set the value of underscore EMP ID like this. And then we will print the output with the console.log. Now let me run this now. Open terminal, paste the command here. Here TSC will transcompile the Typescript file to its JavaScript version, and then this node will run the created JavaScript file to show the output. Press enter. See, it's printed and everything is fine. Now the problem is, when we follow OOPS programming model, the data security is a very important thing. And this EMP ID field is a data only, right? And if this is accessible outside this class, then anybody can wrongly manipulate it. For example, if I can put -10 as the EMP ID, then ideally it is wrong, right? But here it will not validate anything. And if I will run this program again, see, this negative value is the output and our program data is incorrectly manipulated. Now to control this data security breach, we should follow OOPS, and we will use encapsulation concept of OOPS to control this. For that, first we will make our field underscore EMP ID as a private field only. Now our data is private and secured and cannot be accessed outside this class. So we will comment this error code here. Now we will create a function set EMP ID which will just receive the data from outside, and then it will set our underscore EMP ID. So this will be the function responsible for setting the underscore EMP ID. Note, this EMP ID and this underscore EMP ID are different variables. This EMP ID in parameter will be received the value from the outside, and this is our private underscore EMP ID, which is the actual data and which will be set with the help of this keyword. Normally we put underscore before the private fields like this. Similarly, we will create one another function that is getEmpID which will just return our private EmpID data. No manipulation is possible here. We are just returning the data. No, we are not setting the data here. Now both of our get and set methods are ready. Now inside this method, we can solve our problem of that negative number. We can validate the data here which is received from outside. For that, first comment this line, and here we can put an if-else condition like this. This if condition will not allow the negative numbers. Here you can see if the value is less than 0, then it will print the error message, and that will be id cannot be less than 0. But if it is not less than 0, it is positive, then it will just set our underscore empid private data. So this is the validation is done by this setter method. In this way, values coming from the outside will be validated before manipulating the actual data. Let's provide a negative value to set employee ID first and then print the output via the getEmployee method. So this is the way we will set our employee ID, our underscore empid private field, and this get method is the way to print or access the value which we have set already. Now let me run the program again. Open the terminal, it's already open, and see the output is id cannot be less than 0. Our private data is secured from from incorrect manipulation. And if we put positive data here then and again run the program, then it will run perfectly. So this is basically the encapsulation concept. It will improve your data security by making them private, by making your data private, and use methods to access these private data. So basically here we are wrapping data and function together to access the data from the outside. Finally, the definition is encapsulation is wrapping of data which is field and function together to restrict the direct access of the data. Remember direct access which we were doing initially? That was the wrong way. So we have then implemented this encapsulation way to correctly access the data. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please post in the comment section. Here is the question. What is inheritance in TypeScript? This is the concept which focuses on reusability of the code. Here is a sample screenshot where dog and cat are inherited from the animal class. Here you can see the common functions eat and sleep are kept in the animal class. These functions can be used by both of the dog and cat class. Therefore, the animal class will act as the base class and the dog and cat will be the derived class. Remember, base, parent and superclasses are the same things, and derived child and subclasses are the same thing. Now let's go to the code and see how it works. Here you can see we have a dog class with eat, sleep and bark method. And similarly we have a cat class with the eat, sleep and meow method. If you notice, both these eat and sleep methods are just repeated here. So in order to avoid this repetition, we will create a base class and we will use inheritance here. So we will create a base class and just we will put the same code from the eat and sleep from the dog class to the base class. Now to use this method, we will just inherit the base animal class with this extends keyword like this. So now this dog class is using the base class also. Now whenever you will create the object of this dog derived class, then these methods will be available with it. So these methods which are from the base class are now available for the derived class object also. Similarly, we can comment the method in the cat class and inherit the base class in the cat derived class also like this. See, code has been reused here. And now let me just delete this commented code, and you can see the number of lines of codes are less for the same functionality. So this is the benefit of the inheritance. The conclusion is, inheritance is a feature where derived class will acquire the properties of and methods of the base class. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section and I will be very happy to answer them as my name is Happy. Here is the question. What is polymorphism in TypeScript? Polymorphism means same name method can take multiple forms. For example, here is a base class father with methods name and surname. Now we have a derived class son. This son class will automatically get the surname method of the father class, and that is completely fine. But the son class wants a different implementation of the name method because he wants a different name. So we will put a duplicate method name in the son class like this, but the definition or the body of this method will be different from the base class. This is called method overriding concept of polymorphism. Basically, polymorphism is generally of two types: method overloading and method overriding. Unfortunately, method overloading is not directly supported in TypeScript. So we will understand only overriding here. Now when we will create the object of this son class, which method will be invoked? Father name method or son name method? That we will see in code. Here in the code you can see same scenario. We have a base father class with methods name and surname, and derived class also have the method name. Now if I will create the object of the child class like this, and then we'll call the method, then see both the methods of base class are available here. Again, surname is okay as per the inheritance rule, but this name method this is of father class or this is of son class name method? The answer is this is child class name method. Let me show you. Open the terminal, paste the command which will compile TypeScript to JavaScript file, and then this node command will run the JavaScript file and press enter. See, output of child class has printed, and this is Ravi, so this is the output of the child method has been executed. This is method overriding. Child class method has same name will override the parent class method of the same name. The conclusion is polymorphism means having many forms. Like here, the same name method have multiple forms. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is a very important question now. What is interface and why to use them in TypeScript? Let's go to the code to understand it. Suppose we have a variable age with type number. When user will input this age, then this type number will help you to validate the age, right? That is one of the benefit of mentioning types. It will not accept values other than the type mentioned here. Similarly, for classes object also we need types, or you can say templates, so that later we can validate them easily. For example, we have this one class permanent employee here. Now we know every employee must have some roles, some kind of role and responsibilities, right? So we will put this role method here. Now later you may need to include one more class contract employee. There again we need the role method, right? Now the role may be different from the definition of role may be different from the permanent employee, but yes, the method name will be role. Now here the body, as I said, can be different, but the declaration is same. So similarly, as your application will grow, the same type of classes will increase. And right now we have only one method here and it's no problem. But in big enterprise projects, we might have 5 to 10 methods like this. And if we will miss any of the method, then it will be a defect or error. So to maintain the consistency here, we will create a template for this employee type that we will call interface like this. So here is our interface. And here we will only declare role method, no body, no definition inside it. Now for the permanent employee, we want to use this interface, right? So in permanent employee, we will implement it like this. Implements iEmployee. And same we will do for contract employee also. This line will make sure that we have defined a method role in this class. Like it is a mandatory, this role will be the mandatory thing now for any class which will implement the employee interface. Now, for example, if I will comment this method here, then see we have this error. If I hover over this error, this is property role is missing in type contract employee. So this will remind us that we have to implement the role method for every type of employee class wherever we have implemented the interface. For example, tomorrow we will add contractual employee, then temporary employee. So as the size of the application will grow, so this interface will make sense. So that is one benefit of interfaces. That's why interfaces are necessary to maintain the consistency between the classes. Also, interfaces will define the type of your class. So whenever you will say what is the type of this permanent employee class, then we will say yes, it's of employee type, and we can share this information with anyone. So the conclusion is, in short, an interface acts like a contract in your application. It's a contract which everyone has to, every class has to implement, every employee class has to implement. Now if you remember the Angular components, here also we implement onInit like this, and this onInit is nothing but a interface only. Just right click on this and go to the definition and see it's an interface, and the ng onInit is a method which is just declare here inside this onInit interface. And if we go back, then we must implement this ng onInit method, else it will give an error. So this is the story of the interfaces in TypeScript. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Now here again we have a very important question from interview perspective. What is the difference between extends and implements? Let me show you the extends code first screenshot. Here we have a parent class employee. Now below we are deriving from this parent class and creating a child class permanent employee class by using this extends keyword. So basically extends means inheriting the base or parent class. On the other hand, implements refers to inheriting the interface. Here is the code block of implements use. We have one interface iEmployee which have a salary method which is just declared. Now we are implementing this interface with this implements keyword. And as per the interface rule, we must define this salary method of interface inside the permanent employee class. So that is the difference. Remember, both extends and implements are using the concept of inheritance only. Extends used for base class inheritance and implements used for interface inheritance. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please ask me and I will be very happy to answer it, as my name is Happy. Here is the question. Is multiple inheritance possible in TypeScript? First of all, what is multiple inheritance? Here you can see two parent classes, employee 1 and employee 2. And then down here we have this child class P employee. Now we are trying to inherit from both of these parent classes right here. This is multiple inheritance, and that is not possible via classes like this. See the red line, this is the compile time error here. So the Typescript will not allow to do this. Now to achieve multiple inheritance in Typescript, we should use interfaces as the base classes like this. In this case, no compile time error, and this is very much possible. So the answer is multiple inheritance in Typescript only possible via interfaces, not classes. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please write to me.